Good morning. Welcome back to Morning Live. Younger Canadians are placing a stronger emphasis on financial transparency and protection from the outset. Julia Fogarty is an associate lawyer joining us this morning on Morning Live. Good morning.
Thank you so much for having me, Rick. And you know what? I completely agree.
Yeah.
Gen Z are about 21% above the national average when it comes to prenuptial agreements.
That is fascinating. So let's start from the ground floor. What is a prenuptial agreement?
So a prenup is basically a document that sets out your assets, your debts, and the scope of what you're looking to protect throughout the course of your relationship.
Okay.
So it's really important where you have, say, one individual with a lot of assets coming into the relationship, and they're looking to, say, exclude a property or exclude an asset from division if the relationship fails. Now, having this document protects you later, because one thing that comes up all the time is where you have a long relationship, it's really, really difficult to go back and find those records from when you got married. But if you do a prenup, you have not only all of those records, but you have them crystallized in a sworn document.
So a prenup lists what each party has, correct?
It does.
Okay. Can you do it for a common law marriage as well?
You can do a prenup for any kind of relationship.
Okay.
Often we'll do a prenup and we call it a domestic contract. And depending on when you do one of these agreements, the name changes a little bit.
Okay.
So your domestic contract, if you do it prior to marriage with the intention of marrying, it's a prenup. If you do it after you're married, it's called a postnup.
Okay.
If you're just common law, it's called a domestic contract. But the agreement stays relatively the same. It's just the contents of it may change slightly.
Now, these stats related to Gen Z, so they're 21% above the national average in terms of getting a prenup. Do we have a reason for that?
You know what? It looks like they're a little bit more risk averse. They're a little more cognizant of basically the volatility of the market and all of the cloud of things that are happening lately. I don't know what else to call it other than, you know, 1 second you have tariffs, 1 second someone's attacking someone. You never know what's going to happen nowadays. And they're very, very cognizant of that. And because they're cognizant, they like to have a parachute. They like to have a backup plan that gives them certainty and how they can move forward. I think it's smart.
Yeah, absolutely. This is really a microcosm of the economic reality that we're in right now, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So is Gen Z and what they're doing encouraging maybe some of the older generations to take a second look or maybe a first look at a prenup agreement?
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so. The national average right now is 31% generally. Gen Z is sitting at about 52%, I think, according to a recent TD Bank survey. So 31% are in the know when it comes to a prenuptial agreement.
Right.
I would love to see that be higher, though, because having a delineated document that tells you how to address property, it tells you how to address your financial accounts. Sometimes it even has a parenting schedule in the event that a relationship breaks down. This is basically your be-all, end-all document that you can go in and you don't have anything left to argue about.
Right.
It saves people thousands and thousands of dollars when it's done properly. Now, done properly is sometimes a bit of a work of art because you need certain things to make this a valid binding agreement. One of these things is appropriate and transparent financial disclosure, which we touched on. The other thing that you need is independent legal advice. So going into it, you should have a lawyer, but your spouse should also have a lawyer.
Right.
You work on this document together. It becomes this, we'll call it a legal love child that you draft, and you get to the end of it and you have this document setting out all of these terms. So independent legal advice informs you as to your rights, and it basically lets both parties know with open eyes what they're getting into in signing this document.
I can hear people yelling at their TVs, tablets, phones, wherever they're watching Morning Live. How much does this cost, ballpark?
Oh gosh, it really depends on how detailed and how much financial documents and how, I don't want to say willing, but how willing someone is to participate in the process.
Okay. We need two willing partners, obviously.
Yes. Yeah, you can't force someone into this.
No. Julia, great information. Thanks for joining us. All the links on this information and a whole lot more on chch.com/morninglive. Stay with us.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming in. That's great.